Recently, I picked up a game series that I remember starting partway through as a kid. It was a weird mixture of modern science and almost Arthurian-style magic. You play as a character who is eventually known as the Avatar. No, not that one. No, not that one either. There you go. Today we are going to take a look at the Ultima series and the long development of the land of Britannia. I'm Ollamh, and welcome to Geek Trivia. Back in the first game, originally released in 1981 on the Apple II, the player finds themselves brought to the land of Caesarea. This is a world separated into 4 continents with 2 kingdoms per continent. Of course, each lord has a monster that needs killed in order for the player to gather up the required items to solve the major quest. The story revolves around an evil wizard named Mondain, who rules over the kingdom of Caesarea. Apparently, he created an evil gem over 1,000 years ago, which grants him immortality. I'm not sure that granting immortality is actually evil, but the gem is claimed to be evil either way. The player is brought to the land by one Lord British to find a way to destroy the Wizard King. Each smaller kingdom's lord possesses a special gem that is needed to make use of a time machine. And this is where things seem to get a little odd. In the land of swords and sorcery, there is a time machine, and in fact a space shuttle, and the player must also become a space ace and defeat a certain number of enemy ships. With this completed, the hero can now find the time machine, use the gems to power it, and travel back 1,000 years before Mondain completes the vile gem. By destroying the gem before it is completed, the hero prevents the wizard from becoming immortal and can kill him. Then traveling forward the 1,000 years, the hero is rewarded. A year later, the second installment came out, revealing that Mondain did not work alone. He had an apprentice and lover called Minax. She has grown older, more powerful, and more bitter after the death of her lover. She decides, as any truly evil person, to get revenge on the people who doomed her evil master. Again, the idea of time is played with. Minax makes use of the time doors created by Mondain's death to travel to a place called the Time of Legends, located at the origin of times. She then sends out her evil minions throughout time to disturb the development of humanity, causing a point in the future where humanity is nearly wiped out. The Stranger, as our hero is still known at this point, is called upon again by Lord British to defeat the evil enchantress. This requires the obtaining of an enchanted ring to allow our hero to pass through the force fields inside the time doors. Passing through various eras, he hunts down Minax and defeats her with the quick sword of Inelio, or online spelled backwards. The actual game itself is set on Earth, which is a bit of a disconnect from the first game. Later installments would retcon this to say that it took place on Caesarea. It's easier to change the name of the world than to explain why all the characters that reappear moved from one world to another. The third installment brings us back fully to the land of Caesarea, which is being terrorized by a villain known as Exodus, living on the Isle of Fire. Summoned once again by Lord British, our hero is sent on a quest to defeat the great evil facing the land. This, of course, can't be too easy. Nobody knows how to get to the Isle of Fire. So our hero has to travel to a strange and lost land called Ambrosia and from there to the forgotten depths of the dungeons of Caesarea. There the hero receives a powerful, and naturally magical, branding marks. He also finds the mysterious Time Lord, because the original trilogy had so much time in it that it was its own paradox. Finally, getting to the Isle of Fire, the hero finds something very odd. Exodus was created by Mondain and Minax, but it's not really an offspring. Despite the box art of the game, Exodus is actually a computer. In fact, in order to defeat the villain of the game, the character does not rely on a strong party of adventurers, but instead clever puzzle solving, which required the use of 4 magical cards, or punch cards, and many clues sprinkled throughout the game. Upon winning the game, the player was instructed to report thy victory to Origin. Anyone who did this received a certificate of completion autographed by Richard Garriott, the game's creator. Origin Systems took 2 years to release the next game in the series, and changed the style quite drastically. Ultima 4, Quest of the Avatar, was one of, if not the first, computer role-playing game that did not feature a tangible ultimate evil. The land of Caesarea has changed drastically. 3/4 of the world has disappeared, the continents have shifted around, and Lord British has become ruler of the entire world. This game is set in a time of peace for the new land of Britannia. But that doesn't mean that the king is happy with the way things are going. Lord British is worried about the spiritual well-being of his people. So he proclaimed the quest of the Avatar, someone to become a shining example for others to follow. Instead of fighting a villain, the hero focuses on the development of a virtuous life and becomes the spiritual leader and example for the people of Britannia. The hero must learn and exercise the 8 virtues of honesty, compassion, valor, justice, sacrifice, honor, spirituality, and humility, which are ruled by the 3 principles of truth, love, and courage. After proving their understanding of each of the virtues, locating several artifacts, and getting into the dungeon Stygian Abyss, our hero gains access to the Codex of Ultimate Wisdom and becomes the Avatar. While avatarhood is not limited to a single individual, only the hero has followed the steps, dedicated themselves to the virtues, and managed the task. The 5th game, Warriors of Destiny, sees the Avatar being summoned back to Britannia by his companion Iolo and Shamino, by the use of a magical coin, which was included as a trinket in the game's box. After arriving, the Avatar is attacked by 3 powerful beings known as the Shadow Lords. They are repelled by the Avatar's Ankh amulet. Taking his wounded companion to Iolo for healing, the Avatar is informed as to the state of things in Britannia. Lord British has disappeared while exploring the underworld, and a tyrant by the name of Lord Blackthorn now rules the land. He has perverted the virtues into strict laws, such as thou shalt not lie, or thou shalt lose thy tongue. Thou shalt donate half thy income to charity, or thou shalt have no income. Thou shalt enforce the laws of virtue, or thou shalt die as a heretic. The Avatar travels to defeat the Shadow Lords who are terrorizing the 8 towns of Britannia, and discovers they were created from the 3 shards of Mondain's Gem of Immortality. They represent falsehood, hatred, and cowardice, literally standing for the opposite of everything the Avatar does. Finally, the Avatar forms the Warriors of Destiny in order to eliminate the Shadow Lords, undermine Lord Blackthorn, and rescue Lord British. As you might have gathered, the game focuses on fundamentalism and moral absolution, Lord Blackthorn thinks he's upholding the virtues, but by focusing on them as the basis of laws, he is actually twisting them. In the 6th game, The False Prophet, we start off with the Avatar being captured and about to be sacrificed on an altar by red demon-like creatures called gargoyles. 3 of the Avatar's companions come and save him, escaping through a moon gate to Castle Britannia. After defeating some gargoyles that followed them, the Avatar finds out that the gargoyles have taken possession of the Shrines of Virtue. Of course, this cannot stand, so the Avatar goes on a quest to liberate the shrines from the invaders and thus save Britannia from the aggressors. While the Avatar goes along in the quest, it is discovered that the gargoyles are not as bad as originally thought. In fact, they have their own system of virtues. So the Avatar's quest quickly changes from one to defeat the gargoyles to one to develop peace between the two lands. The humans from the above and the gargoyles from the underworld. It isn't easy with the gargoyles' appearance. They look very much like the classical demons. But eventually the Avatar secures peace between the two races. This is another game that has a deeper message to it. Just because someone has a different system of belief and looks drastically different does not mean that they are the enemy. In fact, you both may believe many of the same things, but only through discussion can this really be realized. This game, I feel, should be revisited with the world in the state that it currently is. The series returns with Ultima 7, The Black Gate, with the Avatar actually starting the game on his computer on Earth. While the game opens, the screen soon fills with static and a red face appears and informs the Avatar that the Guardian is looking to take over ruling the land of Britannia. So the Avatar gathers his things and takes a red moon gate to Britannia. The Avatar arrives in the town of Trinsic and is soon informed that it has been 200 years since his last visit. The town is shocked by a ritualistic murder of a blacksmith and a gargoyle. The Avatar is charged with investigating and solving the murder. While investigating, the Avatar learns of a new religion called the Fellowship. Even Lord British is impressed with the good things the Fellowship has done for the people. Recently, mages have been having a problem, going insane, and their magic hasn't been working properly. This is one of the reasons that the Fellowship has grown in popularity and power. While investigating the murder, the Avatar travels through the land and eventually discovers that the Guardian has erected 3 evil generators that are disrupting the use of magic. After destroying them, the Avatar and his party go to the Isle of the Avatar, discovering that the Fellowship has created a black moon gate out of black rock that will allow the Guardian to enter Britannia. Of course, the Avatar manages to destroy the gate just before the Guardian can enter the world. But while the land is saved, moon gates no longer work, so the Avatar cannot return to Earth. This game had a second part called Serpent Isle, which continues the chasing of the leader and founder of the Fellowship. He is trying to obtain godlike powers, but fails in the end. The Avatar's companions are possessed by the creatures that were called forth. Meanwhile, the world is at risk of being torn apart by magical storms. The Avatar continues on the isle attempting to find and free his companions. Finally confronting the evil entities, the Avatar frees the companions, but to save the land must be sacrificed. The Avatar naturally volunteers for sacrifice, but one of his companions, racked by guilt of his actions while possessed, gives up his life. While being thanked, however, the Avatar is grabbed by a giant red hand and abducted to another world. Thus we enter Ultima 8, Pagan, and a game that is much darker in tone than before. The land of Pagan is an eternal twilight after the battle between the elemental titans and the evil destroyers. As a result, the Titans must now be worshipped as gods. Creatures and magic are drastically different here. The people of the land know nothing about the virtues. The Avatar awakens after being told by the Guardian that he is being banished while the Guardian works to take over Britannia and then Earth. In his journey, the Avatar learns a more elemental style of magic, learning spells based on water, air, earth, fire, and thaumaturgy. The Avatar must travel and overcome many obstacles in his attempt to master the elements, and take on the Titans themselves. Finally, using 4 powerful artifacts that unleash violent elemental destruction, the Avatar enters the ethereal plane and defeats the Titans. The Avatar then reconstructs the Black Gate that allowed the Guardian to enter the land of Pagan and returns to Britannia in hopes to prevent the Guardian's planned conquest. So finally we come to Ultima 9, Ascension, and find out that the Avatar has somehow returned to Earth. He is awakened by an Ankh appearing in his bedroom and telling him that he is summoned back to Britannia for his final adventure. The player gets a chance to get used to the new controls and style before traveling. Once getting to Britannia, he is attacked by a dragon-riding villain, but manages to escape. It would be a very short game otherwise. Reaching the Castle Britannia, he finds out that people are acting strange, especially since mysterious columns have risen. The Avatar goes out to investigate and soon finds that the virtues of the towns have been perverted. Britain, the city of compassion, is carting the poor and sick out of town. They claim this is compassionate because it would be hurtful for them to live in a city where others are doing so much better. While exploring the column of rock, the Avatar finds his companion, Iolo, has been corrupted into a worm guard. The runes of virtue have been twisted by the Guardian into glyphs that form the heart of the columns. Each one affects the people of the nearby town and twists their understanding of the virtues. Thus, the Avatar must travel around the world and purify the virtues. The final confrontation with the Guardian is very startling revelation for the Avatar. During the 4th game, when the stranger became the Avatar, he was purified, but his evil side was not actually destroyed. Instead, it was formed into the creature known as the Guardian. For the past 3.5 games, the Avatar has been facing his own evil side. So the Avatar must rejoin with his evil side and ascend to a higher plane of existence, never to set foot on either Britannia or Earth ever again. He does this behind the barrier of life with the spell of Armageddon. Thus he sacrifices himself to save 2 worlds. Now this was not the original ending of the game. Originally, it was discovered that after killing the Guardian, the columns had burrowed too deep into the fabric of the land and would destroy Britannia, pouring the power into the Guardian and resurrecting him. The only way to prevent this is to extinguish the life force of Britannia itself. But people may be saved by evacuating the Isle of Skara Brae and using the runes of virtue to protect them. So the Armageddon spell is used, killing the Guardian, Lord British, the Avatar ascends to the higher plane of existence, and the island of Skara Brae flies off into space to become a new land for the people. Now there were 2 different spin-off games that kind of tie into the series, though are not set in Britannia. The first being the Worlds of Ultima, the Savage Empire. After the events of Ultima 6, the Avatar is transported by a failed experiment to the Valley of Eodon, a large jungle-like world. The land is under attack by an insectoid race, and the Avatar must master Stone Age technology and jungle magic. This game was interesting because you could craft your own rifle, find coal, sulfur, and saltpeter to fashion gunpowder. You could craft a lot of useful things like bombs, bandages, and such. It was one of the first real crafting games that I remember playing as a young man. The second was Ultima, Worlds of Adventure 2, Martian Dreams. This time the avatar is transported to the Victorian era and encounters Percival Lowell, who has set up a space cannon to launch volunteers to Mars. It launches unexpectedly and fires famous people and leaders of the time to Mars. The Avatar must travel to Mars, help restore the civilization there, and save the people of Earth. So that is a brief overview of the Ultima series. From an unknown stranger to a shining example for the people, and finally sacrificing himself, the Avatar has had quite a long career. The series went through several changes, as you can expect from any series that spanned from 1981 to 1999. It started off very basic and developed into a third-person adventure with tank-like controls. What do you think of the series? Did you ever play them, or were they old hat when you started gaming? If you have played them, which was your favorite story? If not, do you think it's something you might be interested in picking up from good old games? Leave us a comment down below, send us a tweet, or leave a post on our Facebook page and let us know. We are always interested in hearing what others think about the topics we discuss. As always, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions.
If you wanna see some
Cheerio!
crazy and also lazy, then you should meet me and my friends. Even though we got no money, for sure it's so funny. Yeah, everything's better with them. We're just like ooh, ooh, ooh.
Die!
Don't worry about
Sucker!
tomorrow, we just
Now the show Haters Back Off follows the fictional character Miranda Singh's rise to stardom on YouTube. Now obviously